look, I don't know what's going to happen, if anything's going to happen at any such date. But I'll tell you my take on where we're at in the Geula process. A lot of people look around the world and they say, we look pretty far from any sort of redemption. I look at the world and I see that it's imminent. And not just because I'm nuts. I really believe it's imminent. And I'll tell you why. And I don't mean imminent meaning next week or in 2010. I mean, I'm talking imminent in our lifetime. History's big. Imminent could be 50 years. But I don't think it's imminent. I'll tell you what I mean. What is the redemption of the world? What is Mashiach coming? It's not just like, yay, we won. It's not what it is. Okay? It's the whole world. It's not just world peace. World peace is the result of it. World peace is the result. What it is that the whole world is on the same page ideologically and recognizes what truth is and what falsehood is and what good is and what evil is and has the same definition of it. That morality rules the earth and belief in God rules the earth, and that everyone agrees on those points. Now that's crazy. How can everyone agree? Well, I'll tell you something. In order for people to agree on anything, and there are large groups of people who agree on lots of things. There are societal movements. The Western world has certain shared values. All Westerners have certain shared values that they have with each other. Certain basic things that they all kind of feel are axiomatically correct and good and right. There's such a thing as believing the same thing as large groups of people. But how does that happen? Well, it happens because of culture. Let me give you just one example to bang home the point. And it's an extreme example. On September 11th, when those airplanes smashed into those buildings, there were large groups of people who, to whatever degree they felt these emotions, in the Western world, pretty much any normal Western person was horrified at what they saw. There were, in other countries, large groups of people who rejoiced at what they saw. People had different I'm not talking about intellectual reactions, gut reactions to what they saw. How did those reactions get built? How did people get to the point where that was their gut reaction to it? Well, that's built based on what they were raised with and what they were taught and what their ideology is that they were raised with, right? And because of all of that teaching and education that they had in their lives, they were ready to react a certain way to a certain event. Right? Make sense? Well, go back a few hundred years before modern communication, and it would probably have taken months, if not years, for people on the other end of the earth to even hear about such an event having taken place. Until the homing pigeons got there, until the ships came in with the letters and with the news from the other land. And who knows how distorted it would be. We live in a world where we're all experiencing history together. When I say we're all, I mean everybody. A huge percentage of the Earth's population is experiencing the day's news together. We all watch the same news clips of the same events every day. And when I say we all, I mean everybody. Everyone in Europe, everyone in North America, huge percentages of the Earth's population. Not everybody. It might not even be the majority. But a huge percentage of the Earth's population is aware of major events in the world the day they happen. Not only that, and here this is probably even more important, young people. I remember I was sitting in my apartment in Yerushalayim. I had a television for a couple of years after I got married. We got rid of it. My wife and I got rid of our television, not for religious reasons. We got rid of it because we realized it was an utter waste of time, and our relationship got better as soon as we got rid of the television. Not that we didn't have a good relationship, we had a wonderful relationship, but it was horrible. But for the time we had a TV, we lived in Yerushalayim, and there was this music video TV station we used to watch, which was it was based out of like Bombay. And it would broadcast all over this area of the world, all over Asia. And you'd have like the VJ it was very, very low budget. And the VJ was this sort of like faux MTV VJ type of guy. And they would play like Backstreet Boys videos and all the normal stuff that you played back then in the late 90s on teeny bopper music video station. And like these little girls in Thailand and Singapore and Korea and India and Pakistan were sending in their requests and when they'd ask for artwork, they'd send in their like request with this artwork of like the Backstreet Boys or whatever. And it was all the same music videos, and it occurred to me, this is a wild thing. 14-year-old girls everywhere in the world have posters of the exact same people in their lockers. No, this is not a small thing. Sports fans everywhere in the world know who Michael Jordan is and watch him play. Everywhere in the world. They're all listening to the same music. Harry Potter comes out, and I'm looking at a magazine, and I see a collage in the magazine of Harry Potter opening day sales with people dressed up in their Harry Potter clothing to buy the book everywhere in the world. In like 15 different countries. This one's in Malaysia, and this one's in Saudi Arabia, and this one's in Peru, and this one's in Russia, and this one's in in Alaska, and this one, everywhere in the world. They're all reading the same book. Now, what does that mean? When Hosni Mubarak, the dictator of Egypt, has a conversation with George Bush, they weren't raised watching the same movies, listening to the same music, laughing at the same jokes, seeing the same news clips. They weren't raised in the same culture at all. But their grandchildren are listening to the same music, watching the same movies, watching the same sports events, seeing the same news clips. They're seeing the same angle in the news. They're probably listening to the same anchorman say the news on CNN International. And what that means is that the visceral gut reactions to events, to world events as they happen, are going to be more similar than they ever were. And as time goes on, and there's less and less barriers to how we're all taking in all the information that we're taking in our lives as we're raised, there's going to be more and more likeness and sameness in the way we react to things. So the Backstreet Boys and Michael Jordan and all these things might seem pretty irrelevant, but they're not. And Harry Potter. Because they're building a shared cultural space and a shared language of culture, which is going to cause, at whatever time it's going to start happening, that everyone's going to have the same immediate opinion about the same events. Because they're all in the same culture. Now, whether that culture is anti-Semitic or not anti-Semitic right now is not relevant. And whether it's trivial or not trivial is not relevant. Because at whatever point in history, once the whole world's on the same page, now the stage is set that when certain events happen, the whole world is going to ooh and ah and cry and laugh together. And eventually, when certain events happen that reveal truth and morality and catastrophic events, everyone's going to react the same way to them. Those crazy ideas that we've been stating for thousands of years, that the whole world will be, as Malachi says, safa achat, one language, udvarim achadim, and singular ideas. What kind of nutty idea is that? People didn't even know other parts of the world existed. To us, it's simple. Of course, it's not only is it simple, it's inevitable that the whole world is going to have the same opinions and everything. It's going to happen. It's happening gradually. It could take another couple centuries, but it's happening. So of course everyone's going to share the same ideas. Now the only question is, what is the content of those ideas? And if the content of those ideas is truth and morality and good and God, then we're done. It's not so crazy. It's not so far-fetched. Part of my goal tonight is just to say, when we say, I believe that one day Mashiach is going to come, that it shouldn't seem like a fairy tale. It's really... There's a lot happening now. It's not just the return of the Jewish people to Israel and the foundation of the State of Israel. It's all the other things that are going on in the world that are also moving us towards a time when Bayom Hahu Yiyeh Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad, or as Rashi says on the pasuk, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Right now, meaning back when Moshe said that pasuk, God was only the God for us. In the future, He'll be one God over everyone. Everyone's going to think the same way. It's going to happen. Why is it that for centuries we were told that it's going to happen in this miraculous way, when really there's a whole other batch of sources, and really the prevailing sources, that say no, it's going to gradually happen naturally? You know why? Chaim David Halevi says an amazing thing. He says, if you're sitting in the 1000s, 1100s, 1200s, and you're in a Jewish community, and you're the rabbi of a Jewish community, and there's crusades, and there's pogroms, and there's all kinds of things going on. And it's tough to get through, and it's tough to be a Jew. And your community says to you, Rabbi, when's it all going to end? If he says to you, sit tight, we got another 800 years to go. It's not, no one is going to be able to make it till tomorrow. So the rabbis would say, you know what? There's that other opinion. He could even come tomorrow. And every Jew had this sense of hope. He could even come tomorrow. Mashiach could come at any moment. But you know what? That's not the prevailing view. It was a security blanket that we needed to get us through. But let's take the security blanket and fold it up and put it in the closet and realize that's not the prevailing view, and that's not what's happening. What's happening is a slow, gradual process. So slow, so gradual, and so natural that we don't even see the miracle in it. Well, it's just the way the world is. Yeah, sure, there's the state of Israel, and a lot of Jews here, and there's all this mass communication happening at the same time as the Jews return to their homeland, and sure, we don't even see the miracle in it because it's so gradual and so natural. And you know what? I don't care if people don't believe in it to the very last second. Big deal. The point is, at the end of the day, everyone's going to be on the same page. Morality will win the day. Truth will win out. Falsehood will fail. Evil will fail. And the world will be one group of people who believe in God, who call out His name, and who live life according to His morality.